Here's a story I heard. I don't remember where I heard it from, but I in the time of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, these were very difficult times for Chabad. The previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, he assumed the position of being Rebbe when he was just a young man. It was in 1920. In 1920, he was like 40 years old then, I guess. And that was really when communism was really starting to, actually take over, getting organized and taking over. So in his time, was communism was supreme, and it was very, very oppressive. They controlled every aspect of every person's life, and there were spies all over. Everyone. They say 1/3 of the nation were spies. Everyone was spying on everybody else, and there were spies on the spies, and etc. And so it was a very good thing to give someone in. You got to get a big what is a brownie point or whatever it's called. If you turn somebody in, you turned in a traitor or something like that. That shows that you were really loyal. Children turned in their parents. So in this atmosphere, it was very, very, very difficult to be a religious Jew. And of course, the obvious way to do it was just to stay at home. Just do your Jewish things at home. And then we also were in danger of your children turning you in. But that was less of a danger. And also, according to the Communist Manifesto or whatever it's called, it was permissible for a person to be religious and even educate his children to be religious, just not outside. Couldn't go outside. Anyway, so the Lubavitcher Rebbe, of course, he defied all this, and he did send his followers to educate Jewish children, and which at a tremendous risk, because if the parents would have turned them in, it would have been other. The children turned them in, and they had to learn in a place where no one would find out about it. They had no windows in the place, so it was tremendously dangerous. One of the more dangerous things that there were a mikvah for women. Now, according to Judaism, a woman is not supposed to have relations with her husband. I mean, first of all, the only sexual relations that are permissible according to Judaism is between a man and his wife. And even then, a man and his wife cannot have relations unless the woman went to the mikveh. There's very complicated laws involved, but let's say the general principle. Unless the woman went to the mikveh first. She had to go to the mikveh first. Once a month, she had to go to the mikveh, right? So a mikveh has to be a building. It has to be not a building. It has to be built. It's like a very small swimming pool. And it has to be made according to certain specifications also. But one of the specifications is it has to be in a hidden place where nobody can see. So it means it has to be in somebody's house somewhere, right? And in addition, it has to be made from cement, something that doesn't leak, and there has to be ways of changing the water, and there's not all water can be used, and there's a lot of laws involved. But the worst problem is to get the women to come there. The women had to come once a month to the mikveh and immerse themselves, and this had to be done without anybody knowing about it. The next door neighbors not knowing about it. And also, in order, you had to make a mikveh, it means you had to dig a hole. You had to do. Okay, another big problem was a minyan. Jews like to pray in a minyan. It's a very, very strong custom to pray with 10 people and to say Kaddish with them. So Jews did everything that not. Of course, that was really dangerous, because at least in a mikveh there were only basically let's say three people involved. There was the woman, and there has to be also another woman that sees that this woman immersed herself properly. Like I said, there's a lot of laws involved. So there has to be two. And then there's to be the rabbi who encourages these women to come to go to the mikveh. Okay, so there was a Chassid in Russia, and he had a mikveh, not a mikveh, he had, I'm sorry, a minyan. A minyan was in his house. The minyan would change places every day, but on Shabbat, the Sefer Torah and the minyan was in his house. The man's wife, this was in the time of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, right? His wife was going crazy. It was like the angel of death was flapping its wings over the house all the time, and you could hear it flapping because any second they could just come into the house, 2, 3 in the morning, knock on the door, that's it, you were finished. So in those days, the Rebbe was still in Russia. The Rebbe was in Russia until 1929 when they evicted him from Russia. So the Rebbe was in Russia, and maybe 1928. Anyway, so he's still in Russia. So this Chassid went to the Rebbe to ask him to move the minyan that they had. A minyan is 10 Jews, right, praying, and to move the minyan to another place. So he went to the Rebbe. He was very, very ashamed to do it, but it was right. I mean, the minyan had been in his house for months and months, and it was just a matter of time until he got caught. So we went to the Rebbe, and he said, Rebbe, my wife is driving me crazy, and she's right. You know, we've had this minyan in her house for 10 months, whatever. Please move it to somewhere else. Tell the Chassidim to find another place. And, you know, maybe another year or something, you could put it back in our place, but I know they're zeroing in on this. So the Rebbe said, in your area where you live, there's no mikveh. The women have to travel great distances in order to go to a mikveh. I want you to make a mikveh in your house. They dig a hole in the walls. So he went to the Rebbe to ask that he should be given less responsibility. And instead, the Rebbe gave him more responsibility. So, I mean, he looked at the Rebbe like, you know, I mean, you didn't understand what I said. You know, I didn't come to ask for more. You know, I'm not doing enough. Please give me another, you know, another job, an additional task. I came to I should be relieved from this task. So he looked at the Rebbe, and he said, "But Rebbe, you know, I'm in danger." So the Rebbe, of course, understood what was going on, and the Rebbe said that in the Holy Temple, and there used to be on Yom Kippur. On Yom Kippur, one of the services on Yom Kippur was that they used to push a goat off of a high mountain, and the goat would die. And it says they would take, who would do this? Ish iti amidbara. Ish iti means a man of the time. Ish iti, a man of the time, a chosen person. Ish iti, ayin tough, ayin iti. And there's a midrash that says that whoever pushed this goat off, that he wouldn't finish the year. He wouldn't finish, it would die before the year was over. But it says that whoever pushed it off, he brought forgiveness for all the Jewish people. And there was a line of people that wanted to push this goat off. They wanted to push it off because he knew that he was benefiting the Jewish people. And that's all he said. That's what the Rebbe said. And the man, according to one version, he cried, the man cried. In any case, the man understood. He went home and he made a mikveh in his house. What's the point of the story? That when you think about the job that has to be done, you don't think, and how important it is, you don't think so much about who's doing it. And when you believe, as the Rebbes teach us, that going to the mikveh is not just a nice ritual, Jewish ritual for religious people, but it's something that benefits the whole entire world when a Jew does what God wants. And especially if it's done with any degree of self-sacrifice. So it benefits the whole entire world. So, I mean, obviously the question is, I think Jews have been sacrificing themselves and benefiting the world for a long time. And there's a lot of Jews that we don't even know what sacrifices they made because they were shot and they were killed and who knows what. And so I think it's time that God should show how all of these good deeds have been benefiting the world and send Mashiach now. Have a good day, everybody. See you all tomorrow at 8:15.